Ooh, this is an interesting ambiance we've got here. So I would like to talk about the concept. Okay. I would like to talk about. Okay. I would like to talk about self-worth because so like self-worth is the foundation of like your ability to do anything and to make it like in line with like the laws of divine love, which is so important when you're creating, to be able to align to that frequency, or else like it's like your creations aren't actually real in the sense that they don't hold the God frequency, like they don't hold the like potency of God and love. Therefore, they are like filtered into like the synthetic grid system. And so I hope that makes sense. So I have been on a journey of self-love and self-worth because it's like my number one block in receiving love and receiving abundance of money. And if you can't receive, like it's all related, because if you can't receive love from yourself or from others, because if you feel afraid or you don't feel safe, you feel whatever, like then you can't receive love, and you can't receive anything. You can't receive money in a way that's like actually true to you. You can't receive like the fullness of life, the fullness of experiences. Because if you've cut yourself off from that possibility, from that reality, then you're just kind of in like a void space. And that is not a fun place to be. It's not. I've been there. I'm like just making my way out because of trauma, of serious trauma, of not feeling safe to receive love at all. So it's like you create your own like little bubble, your own little world where you like pretend that you're safe, and you like you convince yourself that you're safe, and you convince yourself that like, oh, okay, everything's good. I'm just gonna live in this like restricted place of like you just close yourself off, and somehow like that illusion is like what makes you, it keeps you alive. But then you come to the realization of like, wait, there's so much more. There's so much more here to life. There's so much more that I'm missing out on, that I'm not letting myself experience because I'm afraid of other people. And that's just a crazy thing. I mean, it's not crazy, but it's like, think about that. Like, are we really going to spend our lives afraid of people? And afraid of ourselves? And missing out on like everything that God has to give? Everything that God wants to give to us? We can't. It's not a fun way to live, because the self-judgment can really just like can really can really be disabling. Like when you have so much that you want to do and create, and then you are like, your mind's in that place of just like complete and utter disconnection from yourself and in complete judgment of yourself and others, and everything's a threat. Everything's a threat. How are you going to create what you want to create? How are you really going to embody what you have to bring to life when you don't feel safe in yourself to do that? When you're always focused on something outside of you, and you're always focused on the external, you're always focused on other people, what they're doing, what they're not doing, are they dangerous, are they not dangerous, are they going to hurt me, are they not going to hurt me? Oh my God, your whole life can be consumed by that. Your whole life can be consumed. And then what are you? You're not even fucking real. You are real, but like you don't feel real. Nothing feels real. Nothing feels like you're cut off from love. Love, the source of life. Life is love. It's God. It's all one. It's the Trinity. And if we don't allow that in our reality and our body, then we are not really alive. That's the whole issue. That's the whole issue. That's why I'm alive, is to do that. That is why I'm alive. That is my purpose. And then to show other people that that's possible. Because people don't believe it's possible. No one believes. People don't believe. We have to believe. If we don't believe, then we can't access that state of consciousness. If we don't let ourselves believe and not truth. Because it's the truth. It's the only truth. Everything else is not the truth. Everything else is a lie. That is like a half-truth of the world. It's a half-truth. It's not the whole truth. And those half-truths keep us so in separation from who we are, from love, from the true meaning of love. Thanks, Mom. And my soul is like screaming to feel safe. My soul is like, I need to feel safe. I need to be able to share this with everyone. But if I let myself, and like people can relate to this. This is why I need to share this. Like because I'm so sensitive. My purposes, and that's so dangerous because what someone else needs, then you lose yourself. You do not have to. You don't have to. You don't have to live for other people. You don't have to live for anything else but God. It's not religious. It's not conspiracy. It's not insanity. It's truth. It's simple and pure truth that is coming from the cosmos, that is coming from the universe, that is coming from the divine heart that beats in our bodies. And what else is more important than that? Nothing. Literally nothing. Nothing else has any significance if we do not first access this. It's all fake. It's all fake. It's a product of God. And if you don't know God, then you can't know it's God's creations. If you don't know God, you cannot know God's creations. And God's creations are what gives life actual substance. I've gone on the earth, and there's no other reason or purpose to be alive except for God. If you didn't catch that, there's no other reason or purpose to be alive except for God. I've gone everywhere else. I've done it. I don't want anyone else to have to do it. I've gone all the places where God is not. And I've seen everything that is not truth. And there's nothing in that I want in my world. Because that's actually hell. I've seen it. I felt it. I've been there. It's hell. We don't have to be in hell. We can be with God. And people, it's like we don't even realize that we're functioning in hell because we like forget that there's God, but it is hell. Like this earth is full of it. And if we don't snap out of it, then we will not snap out of it. It's that simple. So we have to choose to snap out of it. I've had to choose with all of my fucking strength and power and all of everything that I am to snap out of it. Because there is more to life. There is so much more. There is so much more. And we are so worthy and sacred. Being a human being is divine. And we have been shamed endlessly for this truth. We have been conditioned and shamed every day of our lives that being a human is not divine or worthy. And I'm here to say that that's a fucking lie. I'm here to say that the only thing that is true is that being alive is a miracle of God. And I nearly had to die to realize that. And I'm sorry that had to happen. I'm sorry to myself and to God. But I don't want to do that to myself anymore. I don't want to be away from God. And I know that I don't have to be. And I know that I've only convinced myself that I've had to be because of everyone in the world that is. And I've wanted to understand why. Why do they choose to be away from God? Why do they not want to be with God? Why don't they want to feel God or love? Like the truth of love. Why don't they want to know what is real? Why don't they want to find their soul again and be alive, truly alive? Because it's scary to see the darkness. Because it's scary to acknowledge the truth that we've been allowing ourselves to experience, that we've been participating in. It's scary to look at that. It's scary to see it. But it's the most important thing that we can do to be free. Because this whole entire journey is about freedom. It's freedom of your soul. That's what it is. It's spiritual freedom, liberation. And that's not possible without God. It's not possible without facing the reality of the horrors of this world that are happening all around us in order to keep us away from this truth, from this freedom of our souls. It is taking everything from my being right now to be able to say this, to be able to access this, to be able to go beyond the barriers. I've been in a state of paralysis, and I'm calling on God right now to end that. It has to end. It has to end because I need my life. I have messages to share. I have truth to share. I have love to share. I have creation to share, and I need my life back. It's that simple. It's that simple. And I can't allow anyone to stop me. I can't pretend that people want to stop me. I can't pretend that God wants to stop me. I can't pretend that I can be held back. I cannot give my power away anymore. I've done it for so long. Even my voice is barely strong enough. And once again, I'm saying this because I know that there are so many people who literally are right here with me. And I'm glad that I'm not alone, but I'm here to say that we have to tap into that power to be free. To be freed of the chains of the mind, which can become debilitating to the soul. The soul just wants to breathe in love and life. And if we continue to stop that process because of fear, that is so damaging and restricting. Truly. And this video is about self-worth. And I'm trying to say that we are worth the love of our Creator. And our Creator is source consciousness. It is the consciousness of source. It is a field of energy of the most powerful love frequency imaginable that we cannot even begin to understand. And that's why it terrifies us. But the point is that we don't have to understand. Everybody has been trying so hard to understand God. All of the beautiful people that I have come in contact with, they just want to understand God so that they don't have to be afraid. And I want to say that I've done that too. And it's not possible. You cannot quantify God. You can't do it. You can tap into the most high level vocabulary and the most divine expression of God in language, but you cannot contain this force of life. And I'm sorry, but people are being so misled. People are being deeply, deeply misled. And I am even afraid to say this, honestly, because there are very, very powerful people who are misleading a lot of people, and they don't even realize it. And no one is perfect. Everyone is conditioned. But they believe that they truly have the answers to save other people. And the only answer to save someone is themselves, is God, is them, is their own soul. So if you're misleading people about, if you're not able, if you're trying to access the truth of God with your mind, then you will never have the truth of God in your life or in your body or in your heart. You will constantly be seeking. You will constantly be searching. And you will never feel the truth of the love. You'll never allow yourself to receive or experience the divinity that we are, because we are so conditioned to seek answers and to understand, because we are afraid and we do not feel safe being a human because of the trauma and the horrors that we experience. And so we believe, oh, if I can just understand, if I can just, if my mind can just control my reality rather than allowing God to do that, then we want to believe that we have reached a higher plane, or have accessed something that other people haven't, just because we try to quantify and contain how we perceive reality, when there's really only one way to access God, and it is in your heart and in your body. So if anyone is following leaders who are completely kind of wrapped up in the mental deconstruction and description of God or of truth or of, how do I say this? Of of trying to explain how reality works, because there's very high level teachings of the mechanics of reality, and I'm not saying that they're not real or true. I'm just saying, do you want to understand God, or do you want to know God? Those are totally different. Do you want to understand God? And do you want to put your mind at ease and believe that you have access to something that other people don't? Or do you want to know, feel, and be God, and share that with others to know that you can all do that, and yet you don't need someone else to do that for you, because that's a cult when you give your power away. And when you allow someone else to control your reality or your mind, and then it becomes completely disabling. So I know this is a very, very unpopular and difficult truth right now that I'm trying to share. And I'm not trying to sit here and be a guru and say that I have the answers and that these people don't. But I am saying that from my experience following all of these leaders who are very, very, very pure and who have very high intentions for humanity. But I'm trying to say that the complexities are what separates you from yourself and God. It reminds me of college. It reminds me of sitting in the class. It reminds me of sitting in the college class, in the academic environment, and someone standing before you and you perceive them to have all the answers that you don't, because they have books and they have words and they have vocabulary and they have the charisma and they have all of the pieces that you feel that you don't, or that you just have or that you believe like, is the way. You think, oh, if I just learn this, if I just learn this, if I can just know this, if I can just know what they know, then I will be better, then I will be worthy, then I will be closer to God, then I will be more, then I will be smarter, then I will be like, and it's like, why? Why do we think that? Rather than listening to our own inner world. Because we are born with all the answers in our bodies. We have a divine blueprint that is accessible whenever we choose to access it. But the fear and the disbelief is what keeps us separated from ourselves. And then okay. So the main reason that I began to follow these people was because of my inner separation and my disbelief and my like loss of faith in love and in God. I lost my faith in love and God. And so I thought that other people could help me get it back. I thought that other people had answers that I was missing, when really I was missing myself. I was missing my own truth. I was missing my own connection to God. And spiritual leaders should only ever lead you back to that. They shouldn't have you running around in fucking circles and creating mazes in your mind that can lead you to fucking insanity. I'm sorry. That's not what should be happening. Or to feed your ego into thinking that like, oh, I have the ultimate truth and someone else doesn't. Therefore, like they don't even exist. Those ideas like have been fed into my mind, and they have been very damaging. I want to speak on that. I want to come forward and speak on that, because I'm sure that other people are also experiencing that. And it's not fair. It's not fair. But ultimately, it is your responsibility, because you choose. It all comes down to your choice and your power and your self-worth. So if you choose to believe, or you get sucked into the illusion that you are disconnected and you don't have access to God, and you disconnect from yourself, then you will fall into the traps of other people's searching for their own access to God. So let me say that again. If you don't believe in your own divine connection to God, then you will fall into the traps of other people who are also searching for God. And that creates a big mess. It creates a mental anguish. Mental anguish. That's not godly. That's not truth. Mental anguish is illusion. And I've always known this. But like, for some reason, I wanted to try and understand. Like, my mind wanted so badly to understand what my heart already knew, because my mind could not conceptualize trusting in my own heart, because it was because other people didn't trust in their hearts. And so my mind was like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't either. And then I gave my power away. And then that fucked up my life. It fucked up my life in so many ways. Not saying that it wasn't all a learning experience or karmic or necessary, but I don't want that to happen to people. I do not want that to happen. I do not want people to get trapped in distorted concepts of what God is, or what life is, or what reality is, because I'm living proof that you can be damaged if you give your power away to that. So if you go into those environments, and if you go into those communities, searching for a savior, searching for God and other people, you will be harmed. You will be harmed. And sometimes you have to learn that way. Sometimes that's the only way that you learn. Because you give your power away because you don't feel worthy of God. Because we are taught that we are not worthy of God. Because we are taught that we are not with God. Because we are taught, we live in a system that is so brainwashed and disconnected from God that we fall into the illusion with it. We become the illusion. And that it's not to be ashamed of because we've all done it. That's like, we've been in it. But now is the time to step the fuck out of it because, like, I don't want people to suffer like this. I do not want people to be in a maze I don't. We don't have to be running around in a dark maze with like no hope and no feeling of true love. And yes, it's scary. And yes, it's uncomfortable. And yes, it's a journey. And yes, it's difficult. And yes, it's confusing. And yes, sometimes we do have to go through the maze to get out of it. Because if we're in a maze, the only way out is to walk through it. If you're in hell, the only way to get out is to walk through it. You walk through the fire. And you know that it only ever gives you more strength. Even when you feel your weakest. You have to trust. You have to trust in that higher power. You have to know that, okay, maybe right now I don't feel that. Maybe right now I can't access that for whatever reason because my mind is unraveling. It is unraveling. The mind has to unravel in order for the heart to lead the way. And that can be an ugly process. It can be so ugly and so weird. And that is why people experience psychosis. That is why Western ideas of mental health, that is what happens. All of the labels that people get labeled, that we get labeled for our mind, when we are tapping into a higher reality beyond this third dimensional material realm, which Western psychology is only serving that realm. It's only in service to that reality. And there are 12 dimensions of reality, actually 13, I think. So if you're in the third dimension of reality, then you are not able to access the higher dimensions where God is. So if you don't choose to access those realities, then you become trapped in that third dimensional construct of thought, of mental health, of every other aspect that they try and constrain us with. Okay? And I'm here to say that we are not here to be constrained. If you feel in your heart that you have a purpose, you are not here to be constrained by any system at all. None. No system can have that power unless you give it to them. And I have done that in other ways, not with the Western psychology, but with the spiritual community. And it can be similar. It's all about it's how you approach something. So if someone is like in desperation and in a mental crisis and they seek help from Western psychology, when really their soul is needing the help, not their mind, their soul, then you risk getting further trapped in the illusion of the mind when it's your soul that wants to be free. Okay? So basically, and then so if your soul is what is needing the help to be free from your mind, because your mind has the limitations, right? The mind is the limitation. And if it's your heart and your soul that are wanting the freedom and the help, then putting further limitations and putting further restrictions and labels onto your experience is not helping. It is not helping you to get to the state of freedom that your soul knows is possible. That's what I'm saying. We, as humans, we seek freedom in everything that we do. We seek truth. We seek love. We seek connection. We seek the limitless. And we have been taught not to do that. We have been conditioned not to do that, to not go outside of the boxes that we have been given. Guess what? The boxes are all fake. They only exist for as long as you choose to believe that they exist. That's all I can say. That's what I know. That's what I've learned. So if you give your power to the boxes, to the people, to the systems, to the structures, to whatever it is, if you give your power, if you put your power into them, you lose it. You don't have it to use. You don't have it to let yourself be, to let yourself expand and evolve and really become who you were created and meant to become. And everybody deserves that. We are worthy of that, no matter how hard or scary it is, no matter how many barriers there seem to be in our environment or in the world. The barriers really cannot contain us. And they try day and night. They work day and night to do that. But once you realize, once you come to the awareness and the realization that you do not need anything or anyone outside of you to be okay, to be you, to be safe, and to feel God, then that is freedom. Then that is when you really level it up past the illusions of the third dimension, and then you rise, you break out of all of the limits of your mind. And then you know God. And then you remember that you are from, of, with God. And God becomes not a word or a person or a thing, but a state of being. A state of being. A state of purity, of truth, and a state of mind. Because God can become your mind once your mind allows itself to be infused with the frequency of heaven, because heaven is not a place. It is a frequency. It is a frequency and a state of reality that is possible now. And when you know that, your whole world changes. Your whole world opens up. Doorways, pathways, they open for you. They open. Everything opens. The sky opens. You remember why you're alive. You remember why you're alive. And who would not want to remember why you're alive? Because it's not for nothing. I promise. I promise it's not for nothing. It is for everything. You are alive. Don't stop breathing. You are alive to bring God into your reality. And the beautiful part is that process is unique to every single person alive. Every single person on this planet. That process is completely unique of your process of bringing God to life. Because this world is in desperate need of God. And not the religious kind of God. But the God that is the pure state of love. And I'm sorry for the people that believe that joy and bliss and purity and innocence are not godly, are not what we're supposed to do. I'm sorry. Because that's not the truth. It's not the truth. We are not alive to suffer in any way, not in a way where we feel like we have to suffer for the good of humanity, or where we feel like we have to suffer because we have another choice, or because we feel like we have to suffer because God wants us to be in pain and to feel the suffering that other people feel. That doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help anyone. And humans, humans have such a tendency to want to know, like, okay, understanding with your mind is different than knowing with your body and knowing with your heart. So, like, when we become so distracted and obsessed with the understanding, then you totally and then you like we convince ourselves that like that's how to help people, to help them understand. Because if you understand, then like, you know, you can, it's like kind of an escapist ideology. It's like, oh, I just have to understand this, like instead of just being and allowing life to unfold. Because the mind is so conditioned with the fear. It is so full of the fear that it like can leave no space for the love in your heart, or for just like the trust. That's what it comes down to is the trust. Like, if you don't have the trust in God, then what can you trust? Nothing. So, the self-worth. If we really truly want to feel worthy of God, then it begins with your inner healing. It begins with facing your past. It begins with facing yourself and facing your trauma. Truly, it starts with inner child healing. And I know that's I know it's kind of like a buzzword, but it's real. That is like the key to to truly accessing that state of consciousness. Because let's think about it. The inner child, as a child, when have you ever been more connected to God than as a child? Never on this earth. We are most connected to the truth, to our origins, to God, to love, as children. So if we don't focus on connecting to that aspect of ourselves and reviving that child self, then we will not be able to access that state of consciousness nearly in the way that our soul is needing. So we have to give our inner child the gift of life again, because that's what it needs. That's what it needs. That's what it is begging us for. And the longer that we continue to just shut it out and ignore it, the longer that we will stay in that state of disconnection, separation, and suffering. So we really, truly owe it to our inner child, who is so pure and innocent, to bring them back to life, to revive them. Rainbow Revival. That is my creation. It is a movement. It is a movement. It is a revolutionary movement. And I want everyone to join. I want everyone to join. I want everyone who feels called, who feels aligned, who feels like this is what they want and need for their soul, for their freedom, to come together, to hop on board. Because it's not going to happen alone. It's not going to happen with just me. It's a movement. It's a movement. It's a true movement. And I'm so honored and excited to be given this responsibility by God after everything that I've gone through. And the part is, like, if we really want to help people, if we really want to help people return to themselves and return and revive their souls and know their truth, if we want to have that kind of authority or ability, then we really sometimes are required to go through the trenches, to go through the dark in order to reach that place of resurrection, of the knowing. Because if we don't have access, if we've cut ourselves off from the access of the knowing and we don't remember how to get back there, then we are going to be sent through the trenches to do that. So it's really about, okay, how badly and deeply do we want to remember and to access that love? 1, 2, what are we willing to sacrifice to do that? Of the illusion. What of the illusion are we willing to sacrifice to become our God selves? We have to answer those questions, because my answer is everything. And my mind's answer is nothing. But my soul's answer is everything. So we have to it's about, like, being able to align. We have to be able to align those aspects. so that we are in coherence and balance, so that we are not at war in ourselves. 1 minute, like being okay with our misery and unhappiness and our discomfort, and saying, oh, just one more day, we can just make it one more day, I'm really okay, like it's not, I'm other people have it worse, I'm really okay. While that's true, you're also allowing yourself to perpetuate a story that you don't want to participate in, and that your soul is seeking to be freed of. So if we don't honor that calling, then it can get really ugly. It can get really, really painful. It can get very, very, very dark if we allow our minds to convince us that we do not deserve or want or desire or need something more from ourselves in life. If we allow that, then that's where we get stuck. That's where cycles continue. That's where you can lose touch with your soul. Okay? So we really have to believe, again, we have to believe. Cannot walk around this earth without faith. It is a recipe for disaster. Without faith in ourselves, without faith in God and love, without faith, it's a recipe for disaster and pain. And pretty soon we find ourselves not even really feeling alive. And that's not what we're meant to do. It's not what we're here for. We're not here to be a disconnected, small version of our true soul selves. That's not what we're meant to do. And there are so many people that have consented to that reality that it is like, it seems like it's everywhere. And then we can believe that there is no faith. We can believe that there is no other option, that there is not another choice, that there is not a higher reality, that there is not a higher frequency that we can literally invite into our current state of being at any moment that we choose and feel worthy of. Instead, we have allowed ourselves to believe that there is only one way of life, and that we are just destined to be doing what other people are doing, and to be living how other people are living, and to be giving our power away, and to be existing in that state of being. And that is not the truth. So healing, facing our wounds, our blind spots, the areas of our life where we just totally disengage, totally give our power away, those are the places that we have to access in order to bring ourselves back, in order to resurrect those parts of our being, if we truly want to feel alive. And we cannot convince ourselves that we do not deserve that we deserve to suffer because other people are doing that, because other people are choosing to suffer. We cannot convince ourselves that. We have to know that there is something more. There's something more. And we really have to trust that within our body, because the mind cannot deliver us. I've said this before. The mind cannot deliver us. And there are people who believe that it can. And I do not blame them. Not at all. But it can't deliver. We have to choose to allow the higher states of God consciousness to be present in our bodies. And to step off of the roller coaster. Not to say that there's not still roller coaster rides that we will hop on and off of, but the eternal roller coaster that we don't know where we're going, we don't know when it's gonna drop, we don't know what's gonna happen, we don't know, we don't feel safe, we're strapped in, there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to move. No, that's not the truth of life. That's a lie. So we have to access that state of safety in our body, in our soul. And that is where inner child healing comes in. I swear. Reconnecting with our child selves is the key to freedom. It is the way that we have been searching for. It is the purest state of being. And who we truly are, who our souls truly are, is pure. So if we can tap into that frequency, if we can access that frequency, then everything will change, regardless of what is happening in the world. Okay? If we can really, truly embody that and not be so disappointed when other people choose something different, because there are people who will not choose who will not choose this. They will not know or understand that it is a choice that they can make, and therefore they very well could choose to continue existing in the state of separation from God. But I want to say that we do not have to, that there is a different way. And I know that the subject of family is one of the hardest, especially when you know that you were born for a different reason and you feel like you can't relate or connect to their state of consciousness. And it's not to say that that there is better or worse, but it's to say that they are making different choices. And if you don't make your own choice, then you will, by product of physics, you will be making their choice. So it's so crucial right now to not make the choice of anybody else, no matter how much they are trying to pull you in or lure you in or convince you of making another choice. No. Their choice is not yours. It's not yours. Even if they seem to have the best choice possible, if it's not your choice, then it means nothing. Like, if they seem to have it all figured out, if they have all the answers, if they seem to know it all, and if you blindly trust and you blindly give your power away without knowing who you are and without knowing your own choices, that's a recipe for disaster too. And I've been in the position where I've wanted to lead my family and convince my family and save my family from their own choices. Where has it led me? In a very, very dark place. But it was my choice. I made the choice to do that. I chose. I chose to give my power away to that. I chose to give them my power in hopes that they would remember their own. I chose to participate in their reality in hopes that they would see mine. Instead, I got very, very lost to God. And I started to not be able to feel God. And that is the worst state of being. And I don't want people to have to do that. I don't want people to have to live like that. Because then you start to feel like you're worthless and you mean nothing and you have no purpose and you are like disgusted with yourself. All because you give away your power. And then you start to hate everything. And you start to blame everyone. And you start to just... you start to be miserable. And then you seek, then you seek answers and you seek the way. And you try and distract yourself with other people's journeys and their guidance, and believing that they can save you from your own creation and your own reality. And they can't. Nobody can. Nobody can. And it takes a lot of strength to choose this path, to choose this reality, to know that you can do this. Because it's true that there will be things that try to get in your way, that try and distract you, that try and pull you completely apart. But that is when your faith must be strongest to know that you are worth more than allowing yourself to be harmed. And it starts right here. It starts right here. And allowing that truth to become your only reality. And yes, you do have to deal with karma. And yes, you do have to deal with your choices and actions. And yes, you do have to deal with past life energies. It takes work. It takes dedication. It takes devotion to God, to your freedom. It takes all of you. But what else, what else is there? I can tell you from experience, there's nothing. Nothing more important than that. And I'm sitting here with my freaking chest feeling collapsed, feeling barely able to function and move, feeling like I need God. And I cannot go on anymore without God. So I don't do this for fun. I don't do this for likes. I do this for love. I do this because I love Earth. And because I come here with a mission and a purpose to share that love, to help people remember that love, to help people be freed of the illusions. My body has been so harmed. And my mind. But I will never give up. Ever. I will do whatever it takes. I will do whatever it takes. Because my soul deserves that. And I hope that other people feel that same way. And it's really hard when it feels like no one's listening. Like no one around you is listening. Or no one can hear you. It's hard. when it feels like no one wants to hear you, or when it feels like you have no space to speak. Because our voice is who we are. Our voice is our sound, it's our frequency, it's our transmission. It's our transmission, it's our God transmission, it's our transmission of love, it's our transmission. So we must allow ourselves the space and the ability to transmit our signal. Okay, I'm gonna log off because my head is hurting. But oh, shoot. But my message stands. Please do not allow anyone or anything to distract or deter you from God, from finding God and remembering God and being with God. I love everyone. And I will not give up.